Along the row of trees, in the middle of the forest of Ashdown, made famous by Pooh, there spreads a special village, where meandering midway, a river not so big and not so small makes its windy way. On the bank grows a profusion of wild garlic leaves and flowers in the spring, and other delights await the visitor to this county border dwelling place. Many wise women and their menfolk live there, a kindly, caring community which does its best to set a good example for the world. In amongst the general populace abiding here, living near the old ruins, 4 wise but not so wealthy women lived close by each other. They lived fairly self-sufficiently, growing their own vegetables, sewing clothes, and gathering wood from the trees along by the meandering river bank. They picked wild herbs and berries in season, or went foraging for mushrooms and nuts. Each of them had their own special gift. One could see elemental beings and was often seen chatting to a seemingly bare branch or fern. Her name was Elsie. Another was very musical and was usually heard singing as she went about her day, smiling, humming a song or singing a tune, and listening as if for the next notes to sing. Her name was Heather. The third had very soft but strong hands, and would usually be found with a wounded animal, stroking or caring for it. Her name was Maria. She could massage away aches and pains. The last woman was an amazing cook. She made delicious meals, teas and snacks. Her name was Rosemary. The other woman, often helping to test the alchemical creations from her kitchen. Unfortunately, they all thought that their own gift was the most important, and often could be heard muttering and complaining about the others. Despite this, they did love each other very much, and actually could not imagine living apart. And so they helped each other in many ways. The locals called them witches, but they were really quite wise women, mostly anyway. Not a day would go past without someone from the village popping up from the village centre along the forest track. There had been a path there for so many years that the roots of the trees stood proud above the ground at the sides of the path. Badgers had dug a network of holes for their underground tunnels, and when the weather was warm, could sometimes be spotted ambling along the track or in the nearby fields. Any visitor, be it human or animal, was very welcomed by all the women. The bright polished kettle would be put onto the wood burner, and various dried leaves and berries picked from the bunches hanging by the side of the stove. The infusions they made were often a little bitter, but with a spoonful of honey became a warm woodland cordial, enjoyed with one of Rosemary's delicious almond crackers. The special thing about going there was that the women really listened to the people that came, especially for their wise help to solve their problems. Sometimes they would even get a neck or foot massage. No matter what the problem or issue was, the heaviness of it all was lifted, and each person found getting home was much easier than going, often humming a song or carrying a bunch of herbs, berries or cookies in their pockets or bags. One evening at supper, the women were chatting about the day and about the visitors that had turned up, when each of them started saying she had helped them most. Rosemary said that it was her soup that helped. Heather was sure it was the song she had taught. Maria knew her hands had unknotted the problems, and Elsie was certain that the elementals had woven magic spells around them, healing them. Well, the arguing got very intense, one knowing that they were right, but the others knowing that also. And it escalated, and as it escalated their voices grew louder and louder, and they grew crosser and crosser. They were so cross, they were all getting redder and redder in the face, and it seemed like nothing was going to stop them. The bickering grew worse and worse, until cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. The cuckoo clock struck 9. Heather laughed first, then Elsie, then Rosemary, then Maria, until they were all collapsed in their chairs, laughing and laughing, realizing how extremely silly they had been. They decided there and then. Afterwards, no one could actually remember whose idea it was, that they would have a day where they would treat each other to their healing arts. They realized they had become a bit grumpy because they were tired, and each of them had at least one niggling pain or ache or problem. So for the next few days they made time to sit down and really listen to each other. Maria gave each of the others a lovely long massage, helping Rosemary with her back, which had been aching. With Elsie she concentrated on her tired feet. For Heather she worked on her neck and shoulders, which had been very tense. Rosemary made potions of herbs and oils for the massage. She also put extra effort into the meals and dreamed up new recipes for her friends, so they felt spoilt and nourished. Heather composed special healing songs, one for each of her friends, and taught Maria healing notes to hum as she was massaging. Elsie at first was a little confused as to what she could give, so she went into the woods to think. Her fairy friends came around and whispered to her, suggesting ideas. So then she knew what to do. It took her a few days to complete each one, with different blossoms and grasses from the garden and the woods. She rubbed their petals and leaves onto some old plain white cotton handkerchiefs and made beautiful natural paintings. The petals made such beautiful hues and colours. She sewed the cotton onto beautiful sticks, and each of her friends was delighted to hang their very own healing picture in their rooms. They had been helping others for so long they had forgotten to help themselves. No wonder they had got cross. So every now and again, when they noticed themselves being a bit tired or cross, they would have a special day of sharing their gifts. Of course, they understood each gift was as special and as helpful as all the others. The end.